Hey everyone, this is Neil Napier here. Just give me a very quick shout out if you can hear me all right and if you can see the screen as well. So on the screen, we should have the Kyvio dashboard, and I'm going to be showing you some of the gems that you can find inside it to start building your funnels. But before we go ahead, do let me know, keep the messages coming in. I want to hear from all of you. This is being recorded, and I know some of you will ask me again, but this is being recorded and we'll make sure that you have the replay of this within 24 hours. All right, we've got Wolfgang, Mandy, Ebe, Giselle, Kevin, Tracy, Sabine. Good to have all of you here, Annette, you as well. And I've got Stephen on the call with me too, but I think he might leave in a little bit because he has to work with the developers. But Stephen, a quick hello from you would be awesome.
Hey everybody, happy to be here. So I'll be around for a little bit, but I'll be multitasking, and I'm a guy, so I might be a little bit slow in the responses if needed, but I'm around for sure.
Great, I appreciate that, Stephen. And we do have Nicholas in chat, so if you have any questions, if I can't answer them or address them today, he's going to jump in and do that. Now, we do have 8 different workshops planned. Let me jump in and show you this one. So we have 8 different workshops planned. The one we're having today is going to focus on the funnel builder part of Smart Funnels. So I'm going to be going in, showing you how to build landing pages. I will also show you how to connect everything together, and I'll make sure that when you leave from this session today, you can already build your own landing pages. The advanced stuff comes in the next session, which is next Monday. And then the Monday after, we'll be going through a few case studies and practical examples of what you can do with the funnel builder, with the smart funnels altogether. Now, I love to answer questions, I really do, but I might not be able to address them while I'm doing a demo. So keep your questions coming. It's fine if they can be addressed in chat. Nicholas is going to do that. If he thinks the answers can help everyone, he'll share the answers with everyone. But if not, then I will circle back to your questions a little bit later and answer them for you as well. Is that okay? Is that a good deal? Give me a 1 if it's a good deal and if you're still attentive. Perfect. Excellent. Excellent. And I love the interaction. I love that there's so many of you here. Really appreciate it. Nicholas, we might have to get another person in here after all if the chat becomes too much for you. And there we go. That's the first person. Will this be recorded? Yes, this will absolutely be recorded. And we'll make sure that the replay is available for you within 24 hours. And hopefully that's the last time I have to say that. Nicholas, you can just type it up for people if they ask. In fact, I think maybe there's a way to use chat and mention this to everyone. Yes, this session will be recorded and with you in 24 hours. Perfect. Okay, now with that being said, let's go into Kyvio. So we're going to be talking about smart funnels today, but before I actually get into that, I want to start by talking about integrations, because that is a very important area where most of you will go in to integrate with other tools that you have. Actually, let me log out of this account and I'm going to jump into my own account. So this is kind of something we use for admin area, but I'm going to jump into this one. Perfect, and demonstrate everything for you over here. So you've got a few different icons here. I'm not going to go into each and every one. A lot of, by the way, what I want to cover today is already covered in our knowledge base. So if you come across something that doesn't make sense, feel free to search in knowledge base. If it's not answered there, we'll be more than happy to fill the blanks and make sure that everything does get answered in here. But this is already quite comprehensive, and I want it to be at a stage where we have 500 different articles just because of how big Kyvio is. But one of the first things I want to mention here is that depending on the kind of license you have, you may have the ability to add more than one site. So one site is your core site. It's like your address. And then because you're really rich, you have other different properties to your name as well. And all of these are here. All of these are different addresses at that. But the key thing you want to see in this menu up here is the ability to check out the tutorials, which go to the knowledge base. You can also look at changelog and see what all different stuff we've been doing. And if you have any feedback, if you want to recommend features, you can go here. You can reach out to us via support desk, by clicking on the help center. And the most active place on Facebook these days is our Kyvio Facebook group. So if you're not there already, please make sure you use this menu to get there. The next thing I want to show you today for this call is integrations. I know there's a lot of different things that I could be showing you, but let's focus on our goals, which are to create opt-in pages, thank you pages, as well as other landing pages. So the first thing you want to be looking at is integrations. I'm quite sure that you have other tools that you have purchased in past, mostly mainstream tools. We don't integrate with every tool out there just because we don't think that, number one, a lot of you have all those tools. Number two, those tools are not good enough most of the time, and they might not even be around after 12 months or so. Number three, quite often the API is not very good. And I know even our API is not very good at the moment. But in this case, what I can tell you is that we cover, I think last I checked, about 18 or 22 different platforms that we integrate with. Adding integration is very easy and it is unique to every platform that you have. So for example, let's say you want to integrate with your PayPal account, you can do that. If you wish to integrate with Stripe, you can do that as well. If you're using ClickBank, Deal Guardian, JVZoo, Thrivecart, Zaxa, or Warrior Plus, you can use all of these. Or if you're using ActiveCampaign, Aweber, Constant Contact, ConvertKit, GetResponse, MailChimp, Infusionsoft, Market Hero, and SendLane, you can use this. If you are running webinars, you can connect with GoToWebinar, Webinar Jam, EverWebinar, Webinar Geo. For social media, you can connect to Facebook as well as Twitter. Then we also have integrations with Usign as well as Pixabay if you wanted to do some image search. We also integrate with some SMTPs, which are really good for email marketing. So I won't go into that right now. I'll circle back to this later on. Then we also have, I lost that, we also have Reply Tab, which is another tool that is good for instant messaging or live chats on your website. So there are all these different tools, and as I mentioned, integrating with them is quite easy. So if I pick Active Campaign, all I have to do is find my Active Campaign API key. The directions are over here. Find the API URL, put them in, save, and you're good to go. So every integration that we have is easy, and most of them are covered in our knowledge base as well. So if you get stuck, please refer to the knowledge base and you can integrate these platforms. Now, I should tell you something which might surprise you, but integrations don't always work 100% of the time. It's actually proven. So if you are running, let's say, Facebook ads to a campaign and you're using integration with, let's say, Active Campaign, most of the time you will lose up to 7% of your leads, which again might sound surprising, but there are a variety of factors at play here. Number one, we have to send information to Active Campaign. Number two, Active Campaign has to receive information. Number three, Active Campaign has to process information. Number four, Active Campaign is doing this for 10,000 people at any given time. So as you can imagine, there's a lot of processing that's going on. At the end of the day, it's internet, things do get lost. So if you want to use integrations, you can, but again, I have to warn you that you will lose on an average over a lifetime about 7% of those leads. However, if you use something like our own email marketing solution, which again I won't go into too much right now, or if you use the HTML form options for these autoresponders, then you're very less likely to lose leads. Why? Because these sources are not process intensive. If you are, for example, using HTML forms, they don't work the same way as API integrations do. So there's less load on the server. So if you are doing this for the long term, if you are really building a form where you can expect to collect 1,000, 2,000 leads, and you're paying $2 for every lead, trust me, you don't want to lose 70 or 140 leads through that process, because that would be big loss of income and waste of your money. So in that case, use an HTML form, and I'll come to that a little bit later. But for now, let's jump into Smart Funnels and create our first funnel. So in this case, well, of course, it's not first funnel because we have quite a few different funnels available here already, but there are a few different funnels that you can create. Let's click on new funnel and start building one up. So you have few options here. The first option is for you to build an opt-in funnel, or you can go for a sales funnel, a product launch funnel, or a webinar funnel. If you choose one, it doesn't mean that you can't edit it later. You can, of course, turn that opt-in funnel into sales funnel. All you have to do is remove the opt-in page, put in a sales page, and now suddenly it's a sales funnel. But for the sake of classification, these are the clusters we have at the moment. I'm going to choose an opt-in funnel. When you do that, you can add a number of upsells or downsells. I'm going to choose one upsell and no downsell for now. You can also choose to add an opt-in page, confirmation page rather. I don't see the sense in it, and I wouldn't recommend it, because in such a case, when someone does sign up, you can just take them straight to a thank you page. If you still wish to do double opt-in, you can do so by asking people to confirm through a special link in the email. That's a different thing, and again, we won't go into that right now because it also depends on what autoresponders you're using. But once you're happy with this, click on next, and now you can name your funnel and start building it. So let's call this live workshop opt-in plus upsell sales funnel. When I click on build funnel, it will generate it for me, and these are the 3 pages that have been automatically created: the squeeze page, the upsell page, which is the sales page, and then the thank you page. I run my funnels a little bit differently. I actually combine upsell and thank you page into one, and I will show you that on this call. The next step for you is to activate them, as well as then build them up. But of course, you can't activate them if you haven't actually picked the template yet. So to do that, click on select template. And right now, I know we don't have a lot of exciting templates, but this is something we're working to improve, adding a lot of new templates so you are able to do more modern designs. But I'll tell you another truth. A lot of our own design work that goes in is custom created for almost everything we do. And the reason for that is because when we run a campaign, that campaign would usually run for 3 months to 6 months. We wouldn't run a campaign to a pre-designed page, which is something 1,000 other people are using. But again, we are able to do that because we have the resources and the staff to make that happen. If you don't, you can rely on these designs, and that is completely fine as well. So let's pick one of the simpler pages. I like restaurants. If you wish to, you can click on preview and you can see what this actually looks like. So let's check it out. This is what this page looks like, or rather the opt-in page. If I want to see this one, I can click preview here as well, and I can check what this one looks like. All this text is filler text from us. Clearly, this is not how you would want your squeeze pages or your sales pages to be, but that's okay. All you need to do is go in and start filling your text. So let's go ahead and do that. So when I pick this template, it automatically populates the template based on what I showed you earlier. And this is what it looks like. There are a few different elements here which I'll walk you through. But as you can see, even though the background image here is good, the text is not. And perhaps I don't want this image because I want this to be customized to my needs. But in this case, let's go ahead and look at each and every element, and I will explain to you what each element does. So in the very beginning, you have an element called block. A block is something like this. This is an entire block. When I hover over, you can see this is a block. This is a block. It covers the entire span of the page, the entire width of the page, and this is what people can move up and down if they choose to. I'm not going to do that though. I'm going to leave this as is. You have 2 kinds of blocks. You have normal block and you have white block. Let me just drag and drop both and show you what they look like. So this is a normal block where we do have a background image, which you can see in this case, and this is a wider block where it's all transparent, which means that the background image has not taken over. But I don't want it right now, so I'm just going to go ahead and delete this block. And I'm going to go to webinar as well, and I'm going to delete this block as well, right there. We have some pre-made blocks as well. Again, I would only recommend this if you're struggling with some ideas of what kind of block to build. Some of them are really good, some of them not so much. So typically when I start with a white block because that allows me to be as creative as I want to be. Then you've got the column section. So here's an interesting thing. Whenever you're putting text on, let's say, a WordPress page or a WordPress post, you're typically putting the text either on the left or the middle or on the right, and it covers the entire page in many instances. Kyvio Smart Funnels is different. This funnel builder allows you to use columns. So in this case, as you can kind of see, we have two columns over here. One on the left, number one, and one on the right is number two. If I wish to, I can have even more columns. I can have 6 columns right over here. So if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which means if I wanted to put some content, and don't worry, I will show you this in a couple of minutes, I can drag and drop this anywhere and I can move this around into one or multiple of these columns. But again, it's a distraction. I don't need it, so I will delete it. One of the interesting hacks, by the way, which you can do as well, let's say you decide to add 3 columns, but then you realize, hey, I need one more, or I need to get rid of one of these columns because I don't need so many. You can simply click here and on the plus sign, and it will add columns for you. Or you can click on minus sign, and it will reduce the columns for you. There. Now we are down to 2. You can even adjust the columns. So let me show you this one, because you will see an instant impact. As I scroll up here, you can see that again, this is part of a column. If I click on this right, it will shrink the column. There. If I click left, it would expand the column. So this way you can quite easily customize what these columns look like right from within the editor. Then you've got the text boxes. They're quite straightforward. You've got the headlines, which are preset, or just a paragraph box. And then you have some images, text with images as well. So you can have the image on the left, text on the right, and so on. Let's go ahead and drop one of these and I can show you what this would look like. There. So you've got image on the left and text on the right. You can customize it as you want. You can delete this if you don't want it there. Now you can see we have some extra space. I can go ahead and shrink it. So this is highly customizable, and actually it's kind of fun to play with. So I would recommend when you are building out your pages, check out each and every feature and see how it interacts. Then you can have some box elements as well. Again, these are simply to improve the designs on your page. You don't need to use them, but it is good to know where everything is, just so that when the time comes, you can quickly use these without any complications. We also have these testimonial boxes or product boxes that you can use as well. Let's check this one. There you go. So you can click here, you can change the text name, and you can change the text here as well. There you go. Then we also have image section. So this is how the image section works. I'm just going to go ahead and drop it right here, just below this one. If I wish to pick an image, I can click on image settings, and I can either upload one from my computer, or if I have a URL to a file that is publicly available, I can put it here, and automatically that link gets turned into an image. So let's go ahead and find one that we have. Now, I do have quite a few files here in our own media, but I'm not going to pick one of them. We have a few different places where you can get graphics from. So we have some marketing graphics here. We also have integration with Usign that you can use if you have Usign. We also have integration with Pixabay, which again, remember, is a free app. And this is something I never use. So I really hope that it works because I have never actually tried to use it. Well, it does work. So we get all these images from Pixabay. You can pick one of them. Let's go for this one. And let's say use image. And there you go. The image gets moved there. I can get rid of this one because I don't need it. And now this is what it looks like. So it's very easy for you to upload images from your own computer or simply add them from Pixabay, which has millions of images, I think. So many. Then you can also add videos in the same way. So I can grab one of these and let's say if I can drag and drop it here. You can resize this as you want, but of course it can't be expanded any further, but it can be shrunk. I'm not sure why you would do that. And everything is responsive, by the way. So when you view it on mobile, it will still be responsive. which means that it will adjust automatically to mobile, so you can browse it there as well. Simply click on video settings, and you can grab a video from YouTube, you can grab a video from Vimeo, and you can simply put the link here, or you can embed. So typically you can go online and you can find HTML embed code for videos, and you can embed videos like this as well. Quite often I do that with YouTube videos because sometimes YouTube videos are not properly in the right ratio. So I can use the embed code to adjust them as I want manually instead of trying to adjust them anywhere else. So that's entirely up to you how you wish to do it. But the key thing to note is that you can change the width of the video from here as well. When you're done, save, but in this case, I'm going to delete. Then the next element are buttons. So buttons are simple and easy to use objects which allow you to basically implement action. And this is very important to understand because a lot of people who try and build opt-in forms make this mistake, that they don't actually go for actions. They just leave the button there, assuming that a button will work just because it exists. No. If you're trying to sell something, if you're trying to get people to opt in somewhere, there needs to be an action associated with it. So in this case, what I'm going to do is click on button settings, and I'll walk you through various settings of this particular object. So there's some simple things such as size or style or label. Let's call this reserve my copy. Let's call it that. You can have subtext as well. There. You can change the font style if you want to. There's some other fonts that I like quite a lot, like I like this one. You can change the font size as well. Again, as you can see, the page width is changing based on the font size because, of course, the previous pixels, previous size that we have had is changing. You can also italicize the label if you want. Now everything is in italics. You can change the width of the button if you wanted to. Of course, in this case, we are restricted by the width of the container that the button's in. But if it wasn't, you could extend it as much as you wanted to. Okay, so there. You can choose to put the button on the left, in the middle, on the right, just, small things. You can change the colors. You can adjust the corners to be curved. You can also use this formatting. So you can move the buttons further down, or you can move the buttons further up, or just create space basically for you. You can also add some icons, up to you. But this is the most important thing, the action of a button. So every button has 3 different actions. You can redirect people to a URL when they click on it. You can open a pop-up when people click on it, or you can submit a form. The form is the opt-in form that you have created over here. So if I just close this one for a second, if I look at this form, there. This form is form 1 that we are working with right now. And we don't need this button, so I'm going to get rid of it. We're working with form 1, and for someone to opt in, you have to make sure that this setting is enabled. So submit form, and form is form number 1. If it's a buy button, simply pick redirect to URL and put the buy link here. If you want to create a pop-up, you can do this and you can create a new pop-up. So the interesting thing about Kyvio is that if you have it, you don't need any kind of pop-up solution. You can just create pop-ups from within this. So if I click here, it opens a blank canvas for me. I can go ahead and add some text. I can even add a video. And then I can even add a buy button after that. There we go. So when people click on that, this will open up. That's useful if you're trying to sell something, but we don't need this right now. We just want people to opt in. So let me readjust the settings over here. There we go. We are done. Then we have the form itself. Now we have a form here, but if you want some other styles, you can get them from here as well. Or if you want to add some more fields, for example, name, of course, email, phone number, address, or custom text, you can add all of that here. But just remember this, that when you are doing that, you need to make sure that your autoresponder or even Kyvio Smart Mailer can actually catch all those things. It needs to have these fields previously set somewhere because this is how it will store them in a database. So don't just use the phone number field and assume that it will be saved. It will not be saved if you haven't actually created a phone number field in that specific list in your autoresponder. That's important. But going back to this form, there are some things you need to know. Every form has a form name. This is some sort of a unique identifier that helps you understand what forms on your pages are called. You can have width and you can adjust this as well, just like before. You can have height, so you can make them bigger or smaller. I think this is quite all right. I'll come back to this in a second. You can style them up as you want. This one's rounded. I'm going to make them sharp instead. And I'm going to stack it, which is fine. I'm going to give it a little bit of space as well. There we go. But the important thing is this. This is the $1 million thing. So in our case, I'll explain to you how we use this when we collect email addresses. Sometimes we collect email addresses to just deliver a video. Sometimes we collect email addresses and give an entire course. In that case, when someone signs up, you can also register them as a member in the product that you're selling. Okay? But this is very crucial. So these are form actions. What will happen when someone submits their details? You can subscribe them to an email list. You can register them to a webinar. You can register them to a webinar and subscribe them to an email list, or you can simply do custom integration. That's entirely up to you. So I'm going to click on subscribe to email list. Depending on what integrations you have set up, there are a few options over here, but I use Kyvio all the time. I use Kyvio's own smart mailer, and it brings up all the lists for me as well that we have in place. And then you can put in a thank you URL. So when someone does sign up, you can take them to the thank you page. Now remember, so far we haven't actually set up our thank you page. So we can come back later on and edit this, but let's leave it like this for now. You can save it, or as I mentioned, you can register people to a webinar as well. So we have integration with 4 different webinar platforms. You can do both, register people to a webinar and put them on an email list, or you can do custom integration, which is where the HTML forms come into play. Remember I told you earlier that if you are using an external autoresponder, avoid using API and try and use forms. I'm not going to go into training for that, but you can refer back to your autoresponder. You can create form code there. And when you do, you can put the form code in here. You can parse the raw HTML form, and it automatically connects everything together. And quite often, it's more foolproof because we don't lose the leads in the technical process. Or neither does ActiveCampaign, Aweber, GetResponse, and whatnot. So you can choose custom integration, but I'm going to come back and just subscribe people to an email list, and it will be this one. Could be anything you want, of course, that you have in the system. Once you're done, again, as always, save it. It's good practice to save things all the time. Then we also have a counter feature, which is something that some of you might not use, but if I drag and drop this over here, oh, that didn't get dropped. There. Aha. I think the colors are blocking it. Let's try this over here. Okay, so once you're done with this, you can actually adjust it. So you can decide, should it count down until a specific day? Is it a real scarcity countdown or a fake scarcity countdown? The descriptions of all of these you can find inside the knowledge base, but I can tell you that in case of real scarcity countdown, when the timer expires, you can redirect people to another page. So this is really useful for us when we are building out offers. So if you're building out offers and if the offer closes at a specific date and time, we can redirect people to another page if we don't wish to sell it to them anymore. Then we also have a fake scarcity countdown timer, which doesn't really do anything in such a case. I'm not sure why anyone would use it, but the original developers thought it'd be a good idea to put that down. And then we have a simple countdown timer, which is something that allows you to set up a timer based on time and date. Okay, so again, there are these 3 ones. You can check them as you want. They all work quite well, but each one has different uses based on your requirements. Again, similar things. We have some different styles as well. So if you don't like that one, you can change how the timer looks like. That's again entirely up to you. But I would say just keep it simple. That's the most important thing. Then we also have social buttons, which you can kind of see here as well. So if you want people to follow you on social media, you can pick one of these and click on this integrations, and you can link to all your Facebook groups or pages and Twitters and whatnot right over here. Then we have the comment section, which is not something you would typically need for a landing page. Sometimes when you're giving away something that people need to opt in for, maybe you want to create some buzz, and you can have a lot of people posting testimonials underneath in one of the Facebook or Discuss comments boxes. So it's quite easy. Just drag and drop this here, and you can see the comment box shows up right over here. Then we have some miscellaneous elements. Some of them are a bit advanced, but I should still show you them. This one is alert message. Again, not sure why anyone would use this. This is more of a technical thing, but you can show this warning if you want when someone lands on your page. In such a case, I would say just use a pop-up anyway. You also have tab, which essentially creates this kind of table. We have used this on Kyvio as well. Let me show you where. There, we have used this tab functionality on Kyvio as well, and you can see this is how it works. It allows us to not make people scroll too much. They can just click around and see different aspects right over here. All right. Then we also have a line feature, which is quite simple, but I think it's more for aesthetics. You can draw a line if you want to differentiate between content, for example. That's up to you as well. Let me just get rid of it because we don't need it. So a lot of these are design elements. Some of them are functional. You can also put space, and then you can also put HTML, which is something a lot of people end up doing. If you want to iframe something, use HTML box. If you want to embed something from elsewhere that you can't figure out how to natively embed within Kyvio, use an HTML box. That works perfectly fine as well. Okay. All right, let me close this. And these are all the elements on the left. There is a ton of other stuff that I could show you right over here, but we'll come to that in the second session. But for now, we are more or less done with this one, I think. Well, let's just change the text actually. And also, I don't like this space, like it's a little bit too much. Actually, it's the countdown settings that made it there. I'm going to delete them. But let's change this text now. So I know you can kind of, you can't see it because of this. Let me change the background color perhaps. I'll make it white for a second. Yeah, let's work with this. I'm going to make all the text black. Okay, so let's put something like there. So interested in cooking amazing food in 5 minutes? Then we're going to change this up as well. We have a few different things here. You can change the font, you can change the size, and you can actually even change the color if you choose to. Here you can change the actual size according to pixels as well. Just any functionality that you would expect from a typical word editor, you get that here as well. Okay. There. So people can sign up and they can put their details and everything. And I think we're all done. I know we don't have a thank you page yet, but we can come to that in a couple of minutes. As always, the thing I recommend to everyone is test everything that you're doing. I'm going to get rid of this timer. I forgot to actually put it there. I think that took care of it. So what I was saying was that whenever you're building something out, please test it like crazy, because it is your business at the end of the day. If the leads are not coming in, if you're not making sales for whatever reason, you will be the one paying the price. So always make sure that when you build something out, you test it as much as you can. So I'm going to put my details in here. There we go. And it's done, and it takes me to this page. Interestingly, I think I filled out a different page, but I think it goes here because that's what my list always goes to. So I'm going to go back and check a few settings. I mean, clearly this should have gone somewhere else. It didn't go where I wanted it to. So let's go ahead and check it out. What actually happened? I always recommend, which is why testing is something that not just our support team does, but we do as well based on the actions that we're taking. So of course it went to some other site, but I think it's because that's the site that this list defaults to when someone signs up. If you use an HTML form instead of using integrations, in that case, you will probably already select the thank you page from another website, from Aweber or ActiveCampaign, wherever you are actually building that page. So this, in short, is how you build an opt-in page. I'll build a thank you page as well, which is going to be a thank you / sales page. And then I will probably wrap it up. But before I get to that point, I want to see if you have any questions that I can answer for you right now. So if you have any questions, if you've been holding back, let me know, put in the chat box. I'm going to spend the next few minutes answering those questions. Okay, it looks like Nicholas has been very busy, so has Riste. So a lot of the questions have been answered. Let me see if something hasn't though, or just ask away right now. Okay, so for those people who are asking, do we have plans to integrate with this or that? Please use the feedback portal for making recommendations. And depending on what other people want, what everyone wants, we'll do something about it. But let me also be transparent about this. We're not going to integrate with everything under the sun. There are literally 100 different email marketing solutions. We have our own. For that particular reason, I don't want to integrate with everything. It's like, we already have a pretty cool solution. Why would we send you somewhere else? But if you want to, in some cases where we don't integrate, there are workarounds. You can use Zapier. You can use something like HTML forms. So there's always workaround for something like that. Okay, let's see if we have any other questions. Okay. Are you thinking at all to have heat maps in the future, Michael? Not this year. I mean, if we talk about heat maps and analytics, that becomes another solution altogether, another module altogether. So for now, at least not this year. And I know that, I mean, I don't know if they're pointless or not, but I know that there are quite a lot of free solutions out there that provide them as well. So yeah. Can the forms be used to capture members and protect access to members area? Dean, absolutely. So as I showed you right over here, you can do this one, subscribe to email list or register to a webinar, and at the same time you can register people as a member to a course as well, and the content will then be protected inside the members area. I typically only use this option in 10% of the cases. 90% of the times I forward people to a thank you / sales page, and that works because that gets me sales as well from that process. All right, let me show you a couple of other things before I come back to questions. So let's say I've created this and this is okay, but I want this to be on the left side. I can just move this here and put it on the left side. Now I can test this one and see if it converts better. If I don't want this bar on top, which I actually really don't like, I can just delete this one and bingo. Here we go, we are done. You should have some disclaimers, by the way. So make sure you have some disclaimers in place as well. As always, what you will do if you want to put disclaimers, let me go ahead and delete this logo because we don't need it. And let's add a few sections to this column. Let's delete this one and add a new column. Okay, it's going everywhere right now. There we go. So these are the 4 columns that I can now add content into. I can also resize them because obviously that looks quite big. So I can put privacy policy, disclaimer, terms of services and whatnot right over here. Okay. All right. Oh yeah, a few more things. I mean, like I said, there's so much inside of Kyvio. I might miss some things and I apologize if I do. Let me show you about these blocks. So these blocks have a special unique ID. You can change the height if you want. You can change the background color. You know, in our case, we have a background image. Obviously, you can even have videos if you want. So I could find a YouTube video, put in here, and the video loads whenever the page loads. Let me find a video. Again, I'm just looking on YouTube, so I pause screen for a second. Okay, let me find a better video. Okay, got the video, sharing screen again. Let's go back here and use the video in this case. And I'm going to get rid of the background image and save it somewhere for now because we don't need it, but we will need it later on. So once we're happy with this, let's just go ahead and save it. And let's preview it again. It might take some time for the image to go through, for the changes to happen. And let's see if actually, nope, it didn't remove the image for us. So let's delete that. And it's gone. And this is, whoops, this is our video that we had in place. Let's save. And remember, video is only visible on an actual page. And depending on the video size, it might take a couple of seconds for videos to load. They're always slow. So there you go. This is a kind of landing page that you can create as well. Does that look good, by the way? I mean, I know I could do better with colors, but what do you think? Does that look good, especially when you can have a video playing in the background? Yeah, pretty neat feature. Good, good. Right, so let me just minimize this and come back to the questions. I'm just going to change that because I think the image was pretty cool. Okay. All right, let's go back to the questions. Questions are, let's see. Does it integrate with WordPress? We do have a WordPress plugin, but it's only to show the pages inside your WordPress websites, nothing else. Okay. All right. Let's see. Questions. Can the funnels take clients to a download rather than opt-in for email list or webinar? Tracy, of course, yeah, that's perfectly fine. I mean, if you just want people, you don't have to sign up people to an email list. I mean, you don't even need to have the forms. They can just click here and you can give them a PDF guide if that's all you want to do. GDPR is something we're already looking into, Michael. It's out of scope right now because it only comes into effect, I think, on May 28th or May 18th. But yeah, we'll get to that another time. There'll be another big webinar for that when we get to that point, which is, again, like I said, most likely in May. All right. Let's see. Will full screen video on desk or laptop be okay on mobile? I don't know. I honestly don't know. My gut instinct is no, but as always, please test it. Okay. I'm thinking some form of fluid organic email list building, maybe integrating bots. Michael, great idea. I think bots are definitely the future. So yeah, do that. What are the typical challenges with page speed, etc., when using video? Dean, if you are loading a page with a video background or even a video on top, it is going to load slowly. Of course, you are putting more load on the system, but that's the aim of the game. I mean, sometimes it just, it's a price you pay for something like that. Okay. Brian, I'm not sure what API you said you added. Let me go back and see. Pixabay. You don't, I mean, let me see. If I go back to Let me open it up here because I don't want to kill this page. Okay, I'm going to just check about integrations for Brian. So integrations, we have already integration with Pixabay. There. I mean, I'm not going to go in because you'll be able to see my key, but if for some reason your key isn't working, feel free to mail support desk and we'll check it out for you. Okay. Giselle says, I can already see some ideas developing in my brain. That's awesome. Yes, great to have video in the background. I'm new to website, the tech page building. However, you have made it all look rather simple. It really is, Marilyn. It really is. It doesn't take me a lot of time to build something. I must say that I don't design everything by myself. I build some sort of structure and I pass it over to my team and they improve it. But like I said, with the templates that we'll have coming in, it will be easy for you to select them from a wider variety in future. Now, more questions. Will you be covering how to set up the navigation menu items today? Dean, do you mean on the top, like we have on Kyvio.com? Let me know. Yeah, okay, I can cover that, Dean. Very good idea. I can talk about that. I have instability on my side. What's the best way to use Kyvio instead on it? Hate to have to replace everything there now. Those two are quite different platforms. What I would say in such a case is use Kyvio as a standalone application within Kyvio. I think you can, of course, have the pages show up via our WordPress plugin in your own site. I would recommend using Knowledge Base for that because it's a bit too technical for this workshop. But that's all I can say. Okay. When are you doing a webinar about SMTP? Not now. I think it's in like 4 weeks, but not now. I just want to say after using ClickFunnels and even Builderall, I have Kyvio, the absolute best, and you guys are so genuine, no BS. Michael, I really appreciate that comment. I really do. I mean, I never badmouth our competitors. I think everyone's working hard, but I'm glad that you can see value in what we're doing. Okay, my background images seem to be in 3 sections, a large middle and a left and a right. Brian, again, I'm not sure unless I look at your specific case. So I'm not quite sure what you're saying there, but please do contact support and we can look at that case individually. But I will discuss the menu items that I think Dean asked about. So let me see if actually we can, and again, don't worry if you don't know how this works at the moment because I'm just kind of jumping around trying to find something. Okay, so there are 2 ways to have a menu. I'm going to just undisplay this. There are 2 ways. One way, which is kind of more cumbersome, which is more, time consuming, but it's more customizable, is let's say adding a new block. So I can go ahead and add a white block up here, up on top. Let's shrink this down because of course we don't need so much space. And let's see if we can change some other things as well, because it's obviously quite big. There. Okay, that's probably a good size. And I can change the color of this to black as well, or just something else. Well, let's change it to black for now. Okay, so if I want to add a menu here, what I can do is, like I said, the longer way, but also the more customizable way is something like this. So I can add like 2 columns right over here, right? I mean, again, remember, we're kind of restricted by the page width as well here. So these are really the page widths that we're restricted by. If I go in and go to page options, even though it's full, but this is such a template, then I can also go in and add some more columns. So I can go in and add, let's say, 3 columns here. Let's shrink that back again. Okay, then let's add some text as well. Let's go in here. I can turn this into white so I can see it. Okay. Let's change the size a little bit. It's a bit too big. Let's make it 14. Okay. Let's also maybe change it up so that it's in the center. Let's make this bold. We're done. Now I'm going to click on this and clone it very quickly. Done. Let's put it here. And let's put it here. And let's resize this. Let's resize this a bit better. Okay, there we go. So yeah, this is one way to do it. I mean, it's not that pretty, but like I said, you can customize this as you want. And when you're ready, you have your own kind of menu up on top. But like I said, I'm kind of doing this quickly and it doesn't look that pretty. So I'm going to get rid of this. Instead, I will use the built-in menu. Okay, I promise that I won't go there, but because you asked, I want to show you this. Go to header options, click on display header, and create the menu here. So there. You can connect things up right here. So menu position can be right. Menu style can be one of the other styles. It's up to you how you want to create them. Right, you get a few options over here. And then you can choose menu colors as well. That's up to you. And you can put in menu items too, but I'll show you that. I can show you that right here. So I can click on one of them. I can change this. I can click on this, and this could go to, for example, opt-in page, or it can scroll to a block. So different things. I will go in depth into this in the next session, though, just because I think we're kind of going out of scope right now, and I wanted to avoid that. Okay, so that's a simple opt-in page. We are done. One last time, I'll go to the questions, and then we'll look at full style landing pages, like sales pages, how to create those, how they work. Okay, Sajid's asking, when do we get e-com funnels? Not yet. First, we have to do smart products, which will most likely be done by end of February or a bit longer. Then we'll fine tune it, and then we'll get to PayPal, and then we'll get to physical products, or physical products and PayPal, depending on what people want. So not right now. Okay. All right. Cool. All right, then let's go ahead, and I'm going to close this page, and let's go ahead and build the next one. So the next one's going to be our upsell page. So typically the way I work, I combine my thank you page and upsell page, because I think, why waste space? If someone's actually taking the time to land on your page, if you have already clued them into what you have, sell them something immediately if you can. So we have a few different sales pages. Let's preview this one. This is what this page looks like. For the sake of simplicity and moving things along, I'm just going to use this one unless I find one of the other ones for cooking. Nope. This could be good as well. Actually, it's more of a opt-in page, I think. So I'm going to go ahead and use this one. All right. So now this is the actual thank you page that we have created, or we've used as a template. We have the menu items here, which is something that Dean was asking about. So they are already pre-integrated. You just have to go ahead and edit them. And you can change the text if you want to. You can drag and drop images. You can drag and drop videos. It's entirely up to you. If this image doesn't look that nice, or this background color looks too strong, I can click on block settings and I can lighten it up a little bit. Let's go for that. And turn text into darker color. Okay, there we go. So it's very easy to customize pages like these. We don't actually have inbuilt map functionality, so this is actually an image. But what I will recommend is, again, if you want to have a map for local businesses, just Google it and you will be able to figure out scripts that show a map on a page. Do remember though that loading an entire map takes time. So your page might be slow because of that. But here's something cool I want to show you in the editor itself. So as you remember, I told you if you have a button, you can choose an action to redirect people to a URL, which is perfectly fine. But what if I want to redirect people to, let's say, here? When they click on it, I want them to land here to see all the different menu items that we have. Here's what I can do, which is pretty clever, I think. I can click on block settings and I can copy this block code. I'm just copying this now. Close it and let's go all the way up and then click on this button and then paste this here and save it. Let me show you what that looks like. So remember we said if people click here, they'll land down where the menu items are. Let me click here, and you can see I automatically land here without any refresh. So you don't lose people anywhere. All you're doing is you're using the block code, and instead of linking to the HTTP option, you redirect to the block code. That's it. That's all you're doing in this case. That's what's different. You can also do something cool. So let me show you. We have these two, let's say if someone lands on this page, these two items load up, but next we want this to show up afterwards, maybe because the page load speed issue that we just talked about. I can click on animation and delay. I can either animate it, so I can make it bounce, for example. You can see this is what it will do. I can make it flash. I can make it pulse, swing, a lot of different things. Head shake. Let's go for bounce for now. And for this section, I can say, okay, in this case, don't show it for 1 hour. Right? I will explain why this is useful sometimes. So let's go ahead and look at this. Again, I think that section is now missing. This section is not available anymore. And let's actually put some bounce action here, because obviously when the page refreshes, we lose it. There we go. Okay, let's refresh this. Oh, I think I just killed that section. Interesting. Okay, in which case I will just hide bounce for now, because I think since we moved to the new UI, there's been something up with the animations. So I'll just remove this for now. And you can simply save your page as you want, and you can edit elements as you want. You can add more elements if I wanted to. I could even clone this entire block. So I could click here and this block gets cloned, but I don't need it. So I will delete this one. Then there's some other things that I should tell you. Whenever you create a new page, it gets assigned a URL. What you can do is you can change that URL as well. Not the whole thing, of course, not the root page, but let's change this up to, for example, cooking classes. And here's how I would use this page. Remember, someone's just opted in. If I take them to a thank you page, here's what my first message would be. We have sent your ebook to the email you shared with us. You can read it there later. And in the meantime, check out our newest recipe book here. There we go. I don't like the text so much, actually. So I'm going to change it to, actually that looks a bit too strong for this one. Okay. There we go. Then you can take whatever actions you want on this page. It's entirely up to you. So my strategy with opt-ins is always get people to opt in. Then the thank you page is like a thank you / sales page, but I'm not just giving them what they asked for, but I'm also selling them something, because at that given time, they're at their most attentive. If your message is really strong enough, they will buy. If people are unsubscribing right after opting in, most likely it's because they're not going to, your offer isn't congruent enough to what you gave away for free. So think about that as well. But we have this page now. Let's publish this. And let's close this one. So that's our page. If I wish to edit it further, I can over here. If I wish to change things up, I can. Let's go ahead and visit this page. So that's our page. And again, if I go back into the squeeze page, if someone signs up, I can send them to this thank you page. All right. Great. Let me see if you have any questions, and if not, then I can come back and show you maybe a couple more things. All right. Can you add hyperlink to I accept the website terms and conditions checkbox when opting in? We don't have a checkbox functionality at the moment, Dean. That's something that we are building in. It's something that we have to, with especially the GDPR regulations coming around. But that kind of checkbox functionality for double opt-in is something that we're going to build in. Okay. All right. Uh, Great question from Dean and Riste and Nicholas. Please feel free to share the answers with everyone. Respond to public if they can be useful, because I can see some of these answers are really useful. So Dean's question was, do the block ID codes stay the same even if you add in more items or delete? Yes, the block IDs stay the same. Of course, they will only change when you delete a block. If you clone it, the new block will have a different ID. Think of it like fingerprints. Okay. Is there anything else I can answer for you? Let me see. I know this is a wider question, but do you have suggestions for getting these lovely pages seen? Of course, we can share them ourselves. Oh, I won't go into traffic just as yet, Marilyn. That's something I can address more on live calls in our Facebook videos or through courses. I think it's a little bit out of scope for this call. I mean, I would love to answer that question, but I think another day. Okay. All right. So if I rush back to this page for a second, there are a few things I can still show you without getting too advanced, because this is kind of all you need to do to make stuff happen for now, right? This is all you need to do. There is some more advanced stuff, but I feel I shouldn't go into that right now, and I wanted to keep this to an hour, so I think we're okay. But okay, just a few do's and don'ts. I would say, don't use a timer all the time, right? I only try and use a timer in the last 48 hours or in the first 12 hours. Outside of that, I think it's a waste. Also, I would say don't use fake timers, because people are wising up. They know when you're bluffing, they know when you are cheating. So please don't use timers just to increase scarcity. Make sure you mean it. That's important. Another design tip I can give you, by the way, for these pages is that when you have these kind of pages, really strong images as a background don't work. They need to be blurry, because if the focus needs to be on this part, not this part. So make sure that when you are building out these pages, you don't leave too much emphasis in the background. That's important. And then what I can show you, oh yeah, with HTML, there's a lot of cool stuff you can do. And it's not complicated either. Just Google it, say embedding with HTML, and it will already give you so many options that you can use in your business. Okay, so I think I will leave it at that. I will still go back and answer some questions, but I will say that next week we talk about more advanced things such as these, or mobile view, as well as split testing, things like that. So we'll circle back to that next week. And then the week after, we'll have a case study call where I'll give you some real case studies about how we built our pages and how others are doing it. And then I think 2 weeks after for that, we go into membership sites. And then after that, we go to email marketing. And then we end up with the blog builder as well. Okay. Any questions I can answer for you right now, please do let me know. Annette says blurry background is blurry images background. Great tip. Okay. Great webinar. So much value and not just related to Kyvio. Paul, I appreciate that. You found it useful. Giselle, good to have you on the call too. Where will the replay posted? Don, I'm going to show you where we'll be posting it. Let me just, I'll put it on Facebook. I'll email it to you. Don't worry. Basically, I'll hassle you till you watch it. Okay, but I can tell you that replay will be posted somewhere here. I'm not sure where exactly, but somewhere here you can just search for replay and you'll be able to find it. Okay, well, of course it doesn't exist yet, but we'll make sure you know where it is. Okay. All right. Perfect, Dean. Looking forward to the next session as well. Nigel, Don, Gio, I appreciate everyone who's been on the call. Please do join us in our Facebook group if you're not there already. We're quite active and we make sure that we talk to you to help you use the software better. All right. Michael, Patsy, Gio, Don, Nigel, everyone, have a good rest of the day. Annette, you as well. Wolfgang, you too. We'll talk again in a week and we'll make sure the replay is available to you soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.